Good morning, everyone. All across our country, communities are demonstrating their grief over the deaths of Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, and of course, Michael Brown. For the most part, these demonstrations have been peaceful. Most currently, they have been peaceful. It is our hope that they will remain so, but the voices that are speaking out will be heard. Of course, our thoughts, our prayers, our hopes are with the families, and we take our lead from their guidance for peaceful demonstrations as well. I support President Obama's recent call for measures to increase trust between law enforcement and communities, and Attorney General Holder's call for federal investigations. It's very sad. All lives matter. And I see the sign saying that all lives matter. It should be a given. Let's hope that it is. Today, we have some good news with the jobs report. 321,000 jobs created in November, the 57th consecutive month of private sector job creation. 2009 in October, unemployment hit 10%. It is now under 6%, 5.8%. Average monthly job creation this year, including today's numbers, 241,000 jobs created. You recall that when the president took office, in terms of the impact of the Bush policies and the Great Recession, we were losing 800,000 jobs a month. Now we are gaining over 240,000 jobs a month. More jobs created in 11 months of this year than in any full calendar year since the late 1990s. We have to do more. We have to do more. Also, some good news on the Affordable Care Act, which is, of course, a main concern of mine. In terms of quality, patient safety improved from 2010 to 2013 in the following way. 1.3 million fewer hospital-acquired conditions. This is an important part of the legislation to stop infections and hospital conditions that made people worse. It resulted in saving 50,000 lives. Not only were people saved from the infection, but the condition, improving the condition, saved 50,000 lives and saved $12 billion in healthcare cost because of the fact that those funds were not needed because of the intervention for quality. Also, in terms of healthcare cost growth, you've heard me say over and over again that if there were no other reason to pass the Affordable Care Act, the sustainability of cost demanded that we do it. Cost to an individual, cost to a family, cost to a small business, corporate America, cost to local, state, and federal government. These costs, the rising costs, were totally unsustainable. So we're pleased to note that one important figure that has come out is there's an only 2% increase in benchmark civil health care plans. So, as I said, the rising cost in premiums, and people never knew what their premiums were going to be in the next year and how significant they would be. 2%, an average of 2% increase for benchmark civil health care plan, which is the benchmark that we use. Another figure, in the 2013 national health spending grew by 3.6%, which is a drastic, the lowest annual increase since the statistics began to be collected in 1960. 3.6%. This is, of course, has a big impact on reducing our deficit. 2011, 2012, 2013 are the three lowest years of growth in real per capita national health expenditures on record. So in terms of quality of care, in terms of cost to the individual and to the federal government, the news is very good. Yesterday, we had really a disastrous bill on the floor of the House, the Yoho immigration legislation, even the Catholic Conference of Bishops, which usually is supportive of much of what the Republicans do, had urged a strong no vote on the legislation. And I took the occasion to quote President Reagan, which I could do again if you wish me to, about the importance when he, in 1984, in the lead up to the passage of the immigration bill that would follow, he said, "We're going to have compassion and legalize those who came here some time ago and have legitimately put down roots and are living as legal residents in our country, though illegal. Even though illegal, we're going to make them legal." His quotes are beautiful, and I could read them to you for a long time. A complete contradiction of what the Republicans put on the floor yesterday. I don't know if it will rear its ugly head again on the cronibus, the so-called hybrid bill that the Republicans may be putting forth. We have extended the hand, as I've told some of you yesterday, the hand of friendship once again to the Speaker to say, let us help as we did to open up government or to keep it from being shut down, as we did to lift the debt ceiling, as we did to implement the Ryan Murray budget in the continuing resolution last year. We haven't heard back. We haven't seen the bill. But there are some very destructive riders in it that would be unacceptable to us, and I think unacceptable to the American people. Whatever you think of them, they have no place on an appropriations bill. When it comes to lowering standards for school lunches for our children, whether it comes to lowering standards for clean water for our communities, why bring these up on an appropriations bill? Have the debate. Well, I'll answer the question. Why bring them up on an appropriations bill is because they can't take the light of day. You have this debate in the full view of the world, and it shows a big distinction in who cares about the nutrition of our children, the clean water for our families. It also has, these are really earmarks for industry. That's what they are. And they have workplace standards would be lowered, so making the workplace less safe for our workers. Whatever you may think of them, let's debate it outside an appropriations bill. You're not supposed to legislate on an appropriations bill, so we're eager to see what the bill will be. We look forward to finding common ground. It's really important that the Republicans not be frivolous once again about shutting down government. But they know that in order to have a bill pass, they either have to have all the votes. If they want ours, we can't support what they're doing on the bill, and they need a presidential signature. So we look forward to, now they talk a lot about transparency, but we still haven't seen the bill. It's supposed to be posted by Monday evening. Hopefully we will see it before then so that we can find our common ground on the bill. Any questions?
Madam Leader.
Yes.
So walk us through, good morning.
Why do you let him do this all the time?
I'm faster.
I was looking at you and I didn't know what he was a ventriloquist or what.
Well, I'll defer if you want.
Next.
Anyway, thank you. Too late. So lay out for us, though, what you talk about these riders. Lay out, is it, not funding for the entire year? Is it, not cutting off DHS in March or February? Is it DC marijuana? Is it, what are all these things that are unacceptable where Democrats can't provide?
Well, let's say, obviously it's going to be a compromise, but I have expressed concerns about treating the District of Columbia in a fair way, respecting home rule. We have all agreed on the top line number, so that's not for debate, but how that money is divided up is interesting to see, and we, of course, want more money to go into research at the National Institutes of Health because that has the biblical power to cure and a good investment, job creating, and the rest. The issues that relate to the nature of the bill, well, let's just see what form it takes. Just a couple of days ago, it was going to be until March. Now it was February, and I don't know where the timing is on that now. That's really a national security issue. to have these short-term continuing resolutions when it comes to our national security is not a responsible thing to do. But again, let's look at the full package. I'm not saying any one of them is a deal breaker, but I'm saying these are an array of concerns that we have. Clean air, good food standards, workplace safety, fairness to the District of Columbia, how the top line dollar is allocated within the legislation. And as I said, yesterday I have confidence in our ranking member, Nita Lowey, in the negotiations. She brings the values of our caucus to the table. But, you know, we really even shouldn't be talking about many of these things because they don't belong on an appropriations bill. The structure of the bill, well, remains to be seen. Let's see what I think that they have a sense of responsibility about our national security, and hopefully this short-term extension will not be as harmful as it could be. But we don't know because we have not seen the language.
Do you feel like you have most of the cards on this at this point?
It's not a question of that. They have the majority, they have the votes. If they have 218 votes to go forward with this, so be it. If they keep making it worse in order to get 218 votes, that's a disservice to our country. And I remind you of that, whether it was stopping them from closing government, which we didn't succeed at, but gave them the votes to keep government open. We gave them the votes to open up government. They didn't have the votes. We gave them the votes to support the Ryan Murray continuing resolution figure. They didn't have the votes. We gave them the votes to lift the debt ceiling. Only 28 Republicans voted to honor the full faith and credit of the United States of America earlier this year. So, you know, we stand ready, even in opening up government. We did not like the bill. It was their bill, but it was more important to open up government. So, again, we have stood ready to support initiatives that weren't pleasant. I'm not saying honoring full faith and credit. That one we proudly did. It's hard, though, because when over 200 Republicans vote not to lift the debt ceiling, to undermine the full faith and credit of the United States of America, to have an impact on our credit rating, and then go out and use it as a campaign issue, it makes it really more of an issue of courage on the part of our members. So we stand ready to accept something that may not be what we had written, but we're not the majority, and that's what I keep reminding my members. Let us find our common ground, and let's do it soon, because this uncertainty is not a good thing for the American people or for the business community. We talked about that yesterday with TRIA. Just get that done. Just get it done. Yes, sir.
So to follow up, some of your members are urging that there be a reassessment of the strategy of going along with bills that are hard to swallow but are necessary to keep the government open, and argue that the Democratic minority should let the Republicans carry the bill and take the consequences if it's obviously not too dire, in your view. Do you think that, what do you say to members who argue that by going along with these things, Democrats are making it harder to differentiate themselves and weakening their position long term?
Well, if it relates to shutting down government, call us responsible. Yeah, and they aren't irresponsible. That shouldn't even be something that is in the mix. Not honoring the full faith and credit of the United States of America, that shouldn't even be something that is in the mix. Just debate the issues and the priorities. I don't know that our members would say we should let them shut down government again. I don't know. They haven't told me that, because everybody knows that it's harmful to our economy, and it's harmful to our veterans. It's harmful to everything that we have a responsibility to the American people to do. So we've got to try to find our common ground. We did not like the 988 number that they came up with last year. I tell you all the time, they wouldn't go for 1058. That's the number we're operating under now. Last year they said they wouldn't go any past 988. Our members railed against it. How could it be? Their own chairman said the 988 would not enable us to honor our responsibilities to the American people. Chairman Rogers said that, the Republican chairman. And then Harry Reid said, we'll accept it. The President of the United States said, we'll accept it. House Democrats said, we'll accept the 988 in order to avoid shutting down government. And I said to the Speaker, the Speaker Boehner, we have the votes for you. All you need are 20 votes, and you don't have to shut down government. The only people who did not accept the Republican House budget number were the Republican House members. So they shut down government for 17 days. When it came time to open up government again, they overwhelmingly they voted to keep it shut down, and it required Democratic votes. I don't have the numbers here. Does anybody? It required a massive number of Democratic votes to open up government, but that was our responsibility, even though we didn't like the number. And then that was until December, and in December we had the vote on the Ryan Murray number, more on the subject than most people care to know. And at that time, they still did not have the votes for the Ryan Murray number, and we had to supply the votes. So, we have to be responsible in what we do. And if the risk is to shut down government, we're just not going to be a party to that. The ball is in their court. They write the bill. They have the votes. And the responsibility to keep government open is theirs. If the bill is anything that we can support, we will. But we're not going to be a party to shutting down the government.
Off the jobs numbers, what impact do you think the improving economy might have on policymaking next year? And when do you think Republicans might acknowledge that the economy actually is on the mend right now?
You'd have to ask them what they might acknowledge, because I certainly do not speak for them. But the fact is that the policies implemented by President Obama when he became president to take us out of the very deep ditch that the Republicans had driven us into are beginning to bear fruit. They have been for a while, and now more. Right from the start, 1 week and 1 day after the president's inaugural address asking for swift, bold action now to create jobs, the House passed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, ARA. And that was responsible for saving or creating 3.5 to 4 million jobs. We proceeded then for an agenda that was to be job creation, including a budget. However, we were able to do that with some Republican votes in the Senate, because you needed 60 votes. But after that, any jobs bills that we sent over, the Republicans rejected, because, well, there all kinds of things were going on in terms of the 60 votes. There were only 60 votes in the Senate for about 6 months, and then that was gone. So anyway, putting that aside, I would hope that, directly to your question, that the Republicans would see that how we got to where we were in 2008, September 2008, when the Great Recession was announced, the financial meltdown of our financial institutions was announced, that they would understand that in order for our economy to thrive, we cannot go back to the policies that got us into the deep ditch to begin with. And that really is the debate, the political debate when I say political, the electoral debate in our country. I would hope it wouldn't be partisanly political, but the electoral, that the public should understand what the choice is. And I don't care if it's Democrats or Republicans, that they support people who will take us forward rather than back to the policies that contributed to the meltdown in 2008, and which contribute to the income disparity in our country. It's the paycheck. It's the paycheck. And whatever the Republicans may think of the 47%, they are consumers, and we are a consumer economy, and we have to have fairness in how we reward work and productivity. And I would hope that they would recognize that without just saying, these are the so-called job creators. The 1% get so much of the benefit of our policies. They create jobs, let it trickle down. And as the speaker said at the time when we were having this discussion, if they create jobs, that's what we wanted to do. And if they don't, so be it, he said, so be it.
In the 1997 budget agreement, the economy was booming, the deficit was falling, and you were able to get a balanced budget agreement that cut taxes and created the Children's Health Insurance Program. Are there win-wins out there?
I think
to be
so.
had?
I think so. You have to remember that in 1993 economic package that we passed on the floor, we did with great sacrifice to many Democratic members of Congress who lost their seats because they voted to increase taxes at the high end. And but that was worth it. We had to do it, and it led to what you have described, and 26 million new jobs created, and the rest. Very positive for our economy. So it will take some courage to do what we need to do. But I do believe that there is enough common ground and common sense to go forward with initiatives that invest in education to keep America number one. You can't have innovation without education. That there would be an initiative to recognize that to have good paying jobs here in the United States, you can't reward companies with tax breaks to send jobs overseas. You have to give tax breaks to keep good paying jobs here in the United States and invest in the infrastructure, rebuilding the infrastructure of our country. That has never been partisan. The infrastructure issue has never been a partisan issue until recently, and I think we have to, the public understands that issue, and hopefully in the clarity of prioritizing, because that's what we'll have to do, we can make that case to the public and return to a nonpartisan approach to how we build the infrastructure of America. And as we grow the economy by rebuilding our infrastructure, make it in America, as Mr. Hoyer would say, that we would also, and recognizing the importance of education there, that we would also go to a place that recognizes the value of work and does not have the bottom line of corporate America go big because of the exploitation of the worker in terms of their compensation. So I do think that in the past we've had common ground on many of these issues. President Bush signed our minimum wage bill. As I say, infrastructure and transportation issues have never been partisan in the past.
It sounds like the speaker back on appropriations is not going to let the Tea Party attach language defining President Obama's immigration orders to the bill. That's a change from what happened with the shutdown. Does it make you any more hopeful about how the speaker may rule with a larger majority next year?
I will hope so, but understand that with the hybrid, the Cronenbus or whatever it's called, with the hybrid bill, we're undermining the president's position on immigration by just making it a short-term matter of weeks, a 6-week Homeland Security bill. The Homeland Security bill is about intelligence, about border security, it's about FEMA, it's about many things, about the safety of the American people. So there is a catering to the Tea Party to go to that place. We'll see what it says. Again, it's really, I don't know about you, but I really like to talk about what I know what I'm talking about in terms of what the bill actually is. One good piece of news where we have strong bipartisan support that I'm very excited about is Tim Walz's bill, the Veterans Suicide Prevention legislation. It will come to the floor in a bipartisan way, hopefully under suspension on Tuesday, is my understanding, and then hopefully go right through the Senate and be signed by the president in time for the holidays for our veterans. And of course, we owe them so much. And they suffer when we shut down government. And when that's why when I was Speaker, I was so pleased to pass legislation to have forward funding for them so they didn't get caught in all of these kinds of fights. The shutdown of government is a separate thing. That hurts everybody. But this legislation under leadership of Tim Walz, supported by the Iraq-Afghanistan veterans, is so well thought out and so needed and so urgent. And that's something that will have strong bipartisan support. With that, though, they told me last question, so I have to get back to work. We're getting ready for the new Congress, which is hopefully will be very exciting. In the meantime, we'll keep you posted on our views on what we see when we see what is in the bill. My inclination is obviously to be hopeful that the legislation will be something that we can accept and support. Thank you all very much.